The Secret in the Attic. The old house on Moncrieff Place had always been quiet, a relic from a time when families sat on porches and neighbors knew each other by name. It wasn't the sort of place where crime happened. That's why, when Philip Peters was found bludgeoned to death in his own home, the neighborhood reeled in horror. The police were baffled. Every door was locked, every window secured. There was no sign of forced entry, and yet someone had killed him. Theories ran wild. Some believed a secret lover had turned violent. Others whispered of a ghostly presence exacting revenge. But one thing was certain: the house was not empty. In the weeks after the murder, strange things began happening. Lights flickered on in the dead of night. Footsteps echoed through empty rooms. A faint scratching sound, like nails on wood, could be heard from the upstairs walls. The housekeeper, brought in to care for Peter's grieving wife, lasted only a few days before fleeing in terror. "There's something in that house," she told the neighbors. "Something that doesn't want to be seen." Mrs. Peters, too weak to investigate, eventually left to stay with her son, abandoning the house to whatever haunted it. But the neighbors kept watch. Shadows flickered behind drawn curtains. Sometimes they swore they saw movement in the second-floor windows. The police decided to check the house one last time. They walked the halls, their flashlights illuminating dust-covered furniture and peeling wallpaper. The silence was suffocating. Then, just as they were about to leave, one officer heard it, the faintest creak from above. A closet door stood slightly ajar. Inside, a small trapdoor loomed overhead. One officer reached up, nudging it open. A pair of eyes stared back. A thin, filthy figure lunged, but he was weak, too weak to fight. The officers dragged him down, their shock turning to horror as they realized what they had found. For months, Theodore Coneys had lived in the attic, slipping out at night to steal food and skulk through the darkened halls. The house had not been haunted by a ghost. It had been occupied by something far worse, a man who had lived unseen, watching, waiting, and ultimately killing. The Denver Spiderman, as the papers would later call him, had made himself at home in the smallest of spaces, and if not for a simple creaking floorboard, he might have remained there forever.